Now we are going to learn about the properties of the acid. හොඳට අහගන්න වෙන වැඩ වෙන කතා සියල්ලම නවත්තලා අහගන්න. Now you learned about what is the acid. After that you learned about types of acid. Under the types of acid you learned about strong acid and weak acid and examples for each types of the acid. No, right now we are going to learn about the properties of the acid. Properties of the acid. Right, now look at the board. Now we are going to learn about the properties of the acid. Right, first one is acids have corrosive properties. Corrosive properties. What is the corrosive properties? When some acid is added into the some surface, its color is changed. Its color is changed. That is the corrosive properties of acid. Corrosive properties of acid. And also another properties of the acid is acids have sour taste. Ambul rasak තියනවා acid වලට. නේද? sour taste එකක් තියෙනවා. Right, next one. මෙන්න මීළඟ එක තව පොඩ්ඩක් වැදගත් වෙන මොකක්ද? Acid react with metals. හොඳට බලා ගන්න. Acid react with metals above the hydrogen in the activity series. Above the hydrogen in activity series. මතකද activity series එක? Remember what is the activity series? Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver, platinum, gold. This is the activity series. Right, this is the hydrogen of the activity series. Right, now look at here. Right, now we are learning about the properties of the acid. No, under the properties of the acid, now we learned about acid have corrosive properties. What is the second one you learned? Acid have sour taste. Right, then we are going to learn about the third properties of the acid. What is that? Acid react with metals. Acid react with metals. You must keep remember. Acid react with metals above hydrogen. Acid react with metals above hydrogen in the activity series. This is the activity series. This is the hydrogen. This is the metals above the hydrogen. No? Right. So what are the metals above the hydrogen in the activity series? Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead. You must keep remember. Right. These metals react with acid. These metals react with acid. What will produce? What will produce? When these metals react with acid, you must keep remember, produce salt plus hydrogen gas. Salt plus hydrogen gas. As example, potassium react with hydrochloric acid. What will produce? As you think, when potassium react with hydrochloric acid, produce potassium chloride and hydrogen gas. No? Hydrogen gas. Second example, sodium react with nitric acid, HNO3. What will produce? When sodium react with nitric acid, what will produce? Sodium nitrate and hydrogen gas. No. Next one, calcium react with H2SO4. What will produce? What will produce? Calcium sulfate and hydrogen gas. Right. Magnesium react with hydrochloric acid. What will produce? Magnesium chloride and hydrogen gas. No. Right. Now you can identify what are the examples. No. Right now we learned about three properties of the acid. No. What are the three properties of the acid we learned under the properties of the acid? What is the first one? Acids have corrosive properties. Acids have corrosive properties. Right. So what is the second one? Acids have a sour taste. Sour taste. Third one, acid react with metals. Acid react with metals above, if not, sorry, acid react with metals above the hydrogen. Above the hydrogen in the activity series. Above the hydrogen in the activity series, what will produce? Produce salt and hydrogen gas. Salt and hydrogen gas. පැහැදිලිද මේ ටික? right. ඊළඟ properties වලට යන්න කලින් අපි මේ ටික ලියාගනිමු නේ. alright. බලන්න පළවෙනි එක ලියා ගන්න. Acid. Right. Now look at the board. Now we learned about three properties of the acid. No. Again, remember what is the first one? Acids have corrosive properties. Acid have sour taste. Next one, acid react with the metals above hydrogen in the activity series form salt and hydrogen gas. Right. Then we will go to learn next property of the acid. Next one. Under the next property of the acid, you will be able to learn how to react the acid, with carbonate or bicarbonate. Carbonate or bicarbonate, right? Now look at the board. Carbonate or bicarbonate. Carbonate or bicarbonate react with acid. What will produce? As you think. Right, now look at the board. Carbonate or bicarbonate react with acid. What will produce? What will form? You must keep remember, form salt plus carbon dioxide plus water. Carbon dioxide plus water. You must keep remember. මෙන්න මේක තමයි common formula එක. හොඳට අහගන්න. මොකද්ද පුතේ? Carbonate or bicarbonate react with acid, form corresponding salt, carbon dioxide and water. Right. Then we will go to example. First example, carbonate. I take the calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate is the examples for the carbonate. When calcium carbonate react with hydrochloric acid, what will produce as you think? Firstly, form the salt. What is the salt form here? What is the salt? Right, salt is calcium chloride, no? Chemical formula of the calcium chloride is CaCl2. Right, next one, carbon dioxide. Next one, water, H2O. මේ දෙක අනිවාර්යෙන්ම හැදෙනවා. carbon dioxide සහ water කියන එක මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ පුතේ? අනිවාර්යෙන්ම හැදෙනවානේ. පැහැදිලිද මේක තේරුම් ගන්න මහා ලොකු අමාරු දේවල් නෑ පුතේ. මේවා හරිම ලේසි. මොකද්ද බලන්නකෝ. Carbonate or bicarbonate react with acid, form the salt, carbon dioxide and water. Right, now we learned about one examples. What is the examples we learned? Calcium carbonate react with hydrochloric acid. What will produce? Calcium chloride, carbon dioxide and water. Right. Then we will go to another examples. Bicarbonate. I take the sodium bicarbonate. NaHCO3 is the sodium bicarbonate. I take the acid as the nitric acid, HNO3 acid. How to react the bicarbonate with HNO3? What will produce? Produce salt, carbon dioxide and water. No? What is the salt formed here? Sodium and nitrate form the sodium nitrate in the aqueous medium. Right. So what are the another products? Carbon dioxide and water. No, carbon dioxide and water. Right. Now we learned about 4 physical properties of the acid. What is the first one you learned? Have corrosive properties, have sour taste, acid react with metals above the hydrogen in the activity series, form salt and hydrogen gas. Right, now we learned about acid react with carbonates or bicarbonates. Acid react with carbonates or bicarbonates, form salt, carbon dioxide and water. Right, now you can write down next chemical property of the, if not property of the acid, like that. Properties kiyada, right? 4 properties gana ane, right? Then we will go to learn next property of the acid. Next one, you must keep remember, under the next property of the acid, we are going to learn about the how to react the acid with bases. Right, now look at the board. Acid react with bases. Acid react with base, what will produce? Acid react with base, what will produce? Acid react with the base, produce what? Salt and water. Salt and water is produced. Example, I take the H2SO4. H2SO4 is the strong acid, no? Right. Sodium hydroxide is the strong base. What will happen when H2SO4 react with sodium hydroxide? What is the salt formed here? Salt is sodium sulfate. Right. Another product is water, no? To balance the, we should put 2 in front of the sodium hydroxide. Right. You must keep remember, another property of the acid is acid react with base, what will produce? Salt and water. Right. What is the first property of the acid? Again remember, acids have corrosive properties. Second one, acid have sour taste. Third one, acid react with metals above the hydrogen in the activity series, form salt and hydrogen gas. No. Next one, acid react with carbonates or bicarbonates, form salt, carbon dioxide and water. Next one, acid react with bases, form salt and water. Next one, last property of the acid you have to learn. Acids turn blue litmus into which color? How to convert the acid blue litmus into red color? Right, you must keep remember, right? Those are the properties of the acid we have to learn. Right, start.